Hello and welcome to the last part of our democratic series, and this is the last part of the conditions necessary for successful use of democracy. आप सबका स्वागत है। ये लास्ट पार्ट है हमारा डेमोक्रेटिक सीरीज़ का, और इसके पहले मैंने जो ट्यूटोरियल अपलोड की है उसके लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिल जाएगा। तो फिर चलिए शुरू करते हैं। The conditions necessary for the successful working of democracy, and the 17th point what we have here is effective opposition. Well, existence of an effective opposition also helps the successful working of democracy. An effective opposition can emerge when there are two political parties, example as in Britain. If the ruling party abuses power and acts contrary to democratic principles, the opposition is ready to put a check on it or overthrow it and form its own government in a democratic manner. The two political parties must strictly follow the rules of the political games and must always keep in mind the interest of nation and those of democracy as a form of a government and way of life. Now, we need to understand here that one of the most important, in fact, the conditions necessary for the successful working of democracy is effective opposition. And effective opposition can emerge only if there are two political parties or a two political party system in the country. Example we have in Britain. In Britain, they have just two political parties. One is Labour Party and one is Conservative Party. Now, you cannot have this type of effective opposition where you have a multi-party system. Now, there are exceptional too. We have seen in recent past that even in Indian democracy, our democracy is more or less multi-party system. Whenever there is an occasion, we have seen that many parties have come together and they have formed an opposition front, and they have managed to put a good pressure on the government. But by and large, because of the differences, because of the difference of opinion and ideological differences, many a time we fail to have a strong opposition party in Indian democracy or in Indian context. But by and large, when we talk about effective opposition, we are talking about only in a system where you have two-party system. An example is Britain. Now, we need to understand here what is the role of the opposition party and why it has to be effective, because whenever if a ruling party abuse the power and if they act contrary to the democratic principle, if they act just opposite to the democratic principle, in that position, in that situation, the opposition has to be ready to put a check on it. The opposition always should act as a checks and balance to the government. They have to check, they have to question the government. And if a situation comes, if the ruling party really is not in a position to listen to the opposition party, and if it really abuses the power and acts of a contrary and acts contrary to the democratic principle, in that situation, opposition party must overthrow that government and form its own government entirely based on the democratic fronts, because we must remember that the two political parties must strictly follow the rules of the political game. They must follow the rules of the democracy, and by keeping these rules in the mind and the interest of the nation, those democracies will survive and they can have their own form of government, a democratic form of a government, which is also a good way of life. And that is why effective opposition is very, very important. It is not always that ruling party is more important in a democracy. Yes, it is important, but it is always the opposition which must act as a checks and balance to the working of the ruling party. जब हम condition necessary for successful working of democracy की बात करते तो हमें ये point बहुत important है, जो कि effective ओपोजिशन का होता है। ओपोजिशन हमेशा बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करते हैं, बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करते हैं किसी भी डेमोक्रेसी में। और ओपोजिशन कब इफ़ेक्टिव बनता है? ओपोजिशन इफ़ेक्टिव बनता है जब भी उस सिस्टम में जहाँ पर सिर्फ 2 पार्टी सिस्टम होती है। जैसे एग्जांपल हमने इंग्लैंड का देखा, इंग्लैंड में लेबर पार्टी है और कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी है। आइदर लेबर पार्टी सरकार में आएगी या कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी सरकार में आएगी। तो इससे क्या होता है कि एक स्ट्रॉन्ग ओपोजिशन खड़ा रहता है। अब इस टाइप का ओपोजिशन बाकी देशों में मिलना थोड़ा डिफ़िकल्ट है। जैसे कि इंडिया में हमारा जो सिस्टम है डेमोक्रेसी का, वी हैव अ मल्टी पार्टी सिस्टम। हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत सी पार्टियाँ हैं और उसकी वजह से ओपोजिशन पार्टी उतनी स्ट्रांग नहीं होती है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे पार्टीज़ मिलकर ओपोजिशन का रोल प्ले करती है और उनके बीच में बहुत सा डिफरेंसेस होते हैं, डिफरेंसेस आइडियोलॉजी होते हैं, डिफरेंस ऑन पॉलिसी मैटर्स होता है। और आजकल हमने देखा है कैसे ओपोजिशन पार्टी एकदम बिखरी सी पड़ी हुई है। और इसीलिए जो इफ़ेक्टिव ओपोजिशन होता है वो हमेशा उस सिस्टम में रहेगा जहाँ पर 2 पार्टी सिस्टम होता है। और ओपोजिशन पार्टी करती क्या है? ओपोजिशन पार्टी को हमेशा सरकार के ऊपर नज़र बनाए रखना है। जब भी कभी अगर सरकार पॉलिटिकल पावर को अब्यूज़ करती है या डेमोक्रेटिक प्रिंसिपल के विपरीत कभी एक्ट करती है, तो हमेशा ओपोजिशन पार्टी को एज अ चेक बनकर सरकार को टोकना है, सरकार से कठिन सवालात पूछने हैं। और जब भी अगर रूलिंग पार्टी अपने दायरे से बाहर जाती है, तब ओपोजिशन पार्टी मस्ट बी रेडी to take over the government through democratic means, which is very very important. And therefore we need to understand that 2 political parties must follow the rules of the political game. उनको हमेशा ये याद रखना चाहिए कि जो भी पॉलिटिक्स खेला जाएगा वो सिर्फ 4 दीवारों के अंदर होना चाहिए, मतलब विद इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल नॉर्म्स ऑफ द डेमोक्रेसी। और हमेशा ये याद रखना चाहिए कि जो डेमोक्रेसी होती है विच मस्ट ऑलवेज कीप इन माइंड द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द नेशन। हमेशा देश का भला पहले देखना चाहिए, लोगों का भला पहले देखना चाहिए। और इसीलिए द डेमोक्रेसी एज अ फॉर्म ऑफ अ गवर्नमेंट इज़ ऑल्सो अ वे ऑफ लाइफ। और इसीलिए जो डेमोक्रेसी अच्छी तरह से चलाने का जो दारोमदार होता है, जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है, वो हमेशा रूलिंग एज वेल एज ओपोजिशन के पास ही होती है। और इसीलिए ओपोजिशन को हमेशा इफ़ेक्टिव होना चाहिए, अकाउंटेबल होना चाहिए, ताकि वो कठिन से कठिन सवालात सरकार से पूछे ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द पीपल। एंड देयरफॉर इफ़ेक्टिव ओपोजिशन इज़ one of the most important condition necessary for the successful working of democracy. Moving on, point number 18, local self-governing body. Well, another factor that helps the successful working of a democracy is the existence of a local self-governing bodies functioning on a democratic lines. By working in those local bodies, the people acquire democratic habits and a passion for democracy. And when they go to the center, they behave in a similar manner. Therefore, there is a belief that democracy is safe in their hands and not in the hands of those who start their political career straight in the central legislature. A very important and understanding what we need to have to understand democracy at very grassroots level is the existence of a local self-governing bodies. And these local self-governing bodies are very very important bodies because they in a way are a part and parcel of a greater democracy, and therefore they are functioning on the line of democratic lines are very very important. Example, in India we have municipalities as well as Panchayati Raj Institute. Now these are the local level governing bodies which caters to the needs of the local areas, and even their functionings are carried out according to the rules and regulation listed out within the Constitution of India. And therefore these local self-governing bodies are very very important because from here we get the leaders from a grassroots level. And we have ample examples that people have started their journey from a panchayat, people have started their journey from zilla panchayat या nagar panchayat या फिर municipalities, and eventually they have become a great state level leaders as well as national level leaders. And therefore the ideas and the principles which are installed at the grassroots level are very, very important. So therefore, by working in those local bodies, people can always acquire the democratic habits and a passion for a democracy. And once they acquire those democratic habits and passion for the democracy, it will eventually will help them at later stage as and when they reach out to the national level. And therefore democracy is safe in their hand and not in the hands of those who just start their political career directly at the center. Because many a time these leaders who get into the center without having any idea of what is governance, what is local governance, what is self-governance, they happen to be a bad leader, I would say, because they are not connected to the grassroots level. They don't understand the real problem which today people are facing in the villages. They just live in a big bungalow, they just start their career directly because some political parties give them a direct ticket, a winnable ticket, in which they don't even have access to the real issues which are there at the local level. And therefore the very important point for a successful working of any democracy in the world is having a local self-governing bodies from where we can bring out a good leader who eventually will be connected to the grassroots level. लोकल सेल्फ गवर्निंग बॉडीज़ बहुत बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस है किसी भी डेमोक्रेसी में, क्योंकि जो लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नेंस बॉडीज़ होती है वहाँ पर जो उनकी गवर्निंग होती है वो हमेशा डेमोक्रेटिक प्रिंसिपल के अनुसार होती है. लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नेंस बहुत बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है किसी भी डेमोक्रेसी में. जैसे मान लो हमारे इंडिया में वी हैव पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूट, म्यूनसिपैलिटीज़, दीज आर दी सम ऑफ द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ अ लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नेंस. जब पंचायत का इलेक्शन लड़ा जाता है, जब म्यूनसिपैलिटी का इलेक्शन लड़ा जाता है, तो जो लोग होते हैं वहाँ पे जो कैंडिडेट होते हैं वो उसी विलेज से बिलोंग करते हैं. और जब वो नुमाइंदे इलेक्ट होके पंचायत में बैठते हैं या फिर म्यूनसिपैलिटी में बैठते हैं, उनकी जो कनेक्ट होती है वो सीधी ग्राउंड पर रहती है. उन्हें पता होता है कि कौन से विलेज में क्या प्रॉब्लम है, कौन से सिटीज़ में कौन सा प्रॉब्लम है, और वो जो फंक्शनिंग रहेगी वो पूरी अकॉर्डिंग टू द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन ही रहेगी. मतलब वो भी एक डेमोक्रेसी का हिस्सा बनकर फंक्शन करेगी. वो उनको भी कुछ कानून फॉलो करने पड़ेंगे. और जब ये ऐसी वर्किंग शुरू हो जाएगी एट लोकल लेवल बॉडीज़, तो वहाँ के जो लीडरान होते हैं वो एक डेमोक्रेटिक हैबिट्स को एक्वायर करेंगे. दैट मीन्स पीपल विल एक्वायर दोज क्वालिटीज़ ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी एट ग्रासरूट लेवल. दे विल बी वेरी पैशनेट अबाउट डेमोक्रेसी. और आगे जाके जब ये लीडर स्टेट लीडर बनेंगे या फिर नेशनल लीडर बनेंगे, तब हमें ये एहसास होगा कि डेमोक्रेसी उनके हाथों में ज़्यादा सेफ रहेगी, ना कि जो डायरेक्ट लीडर आते हैं. मतलब ऐसे भी कुछ लीडर्स हैं in and around the world who have come directly at the center because they have a contacts in the big political parties. Political parties sometimes give them direct tickets and such tickets wherein they will win directly. और जब ऐसे लीडर डायरेक्टली हाउस में जाते हैं तो उनका जो कनेक्ट होता है गांव से या विलेज से या फिर ग्रासरूट लेवल से वो पूरा कट जाता है. और वैसे लीडर कभी भी गांव का प्रॉब्लम समझ में नहीं आएगा. उनको कभी भी जो लोग गाँव में रहते हैं उनका कभी भी प्रॉब्लम समझ में नहीं आएगा. और इसीलिए लोकल सेल्फ गवर्निंग बॉडीज़ आर वेरी वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन बिकॉज दैट कनेक्ट्स, that build a bridge between the village and the main politics of the central government. और इसीलिए local self-governance bodies are very very important necessary condition for the successful working of democracy. Moving on to point number 19, no concentration of power. Very true. Democracy works well if there is no concentration of power. Authority should be decentralized so that there can be a scope for appeal, and therefore officials should act as a servant and not masters. Now this is very very important, that in democracy you cannot concentrate power at one point, and if at all you have a power concentration at one point, that will never going to solve the problem of the people. Democracy believes in decentralization. If you want every citizen of your state, if you want every person of the village to feel connected with the system, to feel connected with the mainstream of the democracy, then what we need is to decentralization of power. We must give them some power. We must create the scope for appeal. Example, in India, when the Panchayati Raj institution was introduced, there were hell number of critique to that, as well as the large number of people who supported this idea. The entire idea was very simple, that somebody sitting at central government or somebody sitting in the capital will never ever going to understand the issues and the problems of the villagers. So how to connect the villages to the mainstream of the politics? The only way was giving them scope, giving them space to participate in the democratic process. And by doing so, people started contesting election at grassroots level to the panchayat. They became a panchayat member, and when they became a panchayat member, they knew exactly what is their problem in the village, and they became a connecting bridge between the village and the capital. And therefore concentration of power is a very 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 bad idea. And lastly, we also have to remember that officials should always act as a servant and not a masters. We need to understand in democracy that all these people whom we have elected, either they are MLAs or MPs, they are not a kings, they are a servant. But in the reality, we have just opposite. They become masters when they get into power, and people who are supposed to be the kingmaker, we became a poor people. And therefore we need to understand democracy cannot success if power is concentrated in one hand. And therefore no concentration of power is one of the most important condition necessary for the successful working of democracy. जो पावर होता है डेमोक्रेसी में, वो कभी भी एक स्थान पर नहीं होना चाहिए. उसको आप एक जगह पर उसको आप एक प्लेस के ऊपर कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. अगर कोई भी ये करता रहता है, अगर कोई भी ये करने की कोशिश करेगा, तो हमेशा उसको विफलता ही मिलेगी. क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी का जो प्रिंसिपल है वो है डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. पावर को हमेशा लोगों के पास देना चाहिए. जैसे मैंने अभी एग्जांपल दिया, कोई भी दिल्ली में बैठा हुआ इंसान हज़ारों किलोमीटर दूर एक गांव में जो प्रॉब्लम है वो कभी भी समझ में नहीं आ जाएगा, क्योंकि उसकी कनेक्टिविटी उस गांव में नहीं है. अगर उसको उस गांव को मेन स्ट्रीम ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स से जुड़ना है, तो उनको उस गांव में कुछ पावर्स देने पड़ेंगे. और इसीलिए पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन का आइडिया प्रपोज किया गया. और थ्रू पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन टुडे ऑल द विलेजेस आर कनेक्टेड विद द मेन स्ट्रीम ऑफ इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स. विलेज के लोग उनके खुद लीडर को चुनेंगे. वो लीडर आज पंचायत में बैठा हुआ है, उसको पता है अपने गांव में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है, कौन सी असुविधाएँ है, और वो इंसान बाद में एक कनेक्ट बनेगा, एक ब्रिज बनेगा बिटवीन द विलेज एंड द कैपिटल. और यही आइडिया है डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन की. पावर जितना हो सके उनको दे दो. लेट पीपल मेक देयर ओन डिसीजन. गवर्नमेंट इज सपोज टू जस्ट स्टैंड विद देम एंड फैसिलिटेट द रिसोर्सेज टू देम. बट we have seen by and large power has been concentrated at one place, and therefore today we have a lot of problem in and around the villages, and especially in the distance areas of the country. और इसलिए हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि जो लीडर वहाँ पे बैठते हैं वो हमारा सर्वेंट है. उन्होंने हमेशा ये या एक बात अपने दिमाग में रखनी चाहिए, that they are our servant and they are not our masters. बट हकीकत थोड़ी उल्टी है. इलेक्शन के पहले सब हाथ जोड़ के आते हैं, इलेक्शन जीतने के बाद वो राजा बनते हैं, और जो प्रजा रहती है वो हमेशा प्रजा ही रहती है. और इसीलिए अगर डेमोक्रेसी को सक्सेसफुल बनाना है तो पावर को हमेशा डिसेंट्रलाइज करना चाहिए, लोगों को एम्पावर करना चाहिए, तभी डेमोक्रेसी सक्सेसफुल बन सकती है. And the last very important point is education, training, and efficiency of the people. Very, very important. Success in democracy calls for ability to think behind superficial contiguity. Democracy cannot succeed without truth and true data. Democracy depends upon the goodwill of the masses. Democracy requires a spirit of humility, and democracy requires the faith of the leader in the masses. This is the most important point, in fact, about all that. If you want to have a successful democracy, what you need is education, what you need is a training, what you need is efficiency of the people, and how one can achieve this efficiency, training, and education. And therefore we need to understand that democracy cannot succeed without truth and data. Data is the most important part of any democracy. I don't need to tell you why data is very important, because if we have a data, we know exactly how many people are living below the poverty line, how many people are unemployed, what is the density of poverty in any country for that matter. And therefore, if you want to have a successful democracy, what we need is true data and truth. Similarly, democracy always depends upon the goodwill of the masses. It is always dependent on goodwill of the masses, because masses has to be part of the democracy. And if you want to make people part of the democracy, then what we need to do is decentralization of a power, empowerment of the people. Similarly, democracy requires the spirit of humility. The spirit of humility basically talks about the quality of having a modest or a low view of one's importance. In democracy, you cannot be a king altogether. You have to be always a servant of the people, and that is why the democratic principles, that is why the people who are a part of a democracy always need to follow the spirit of humility. And the last very important point is that democracy requires the faith of the leaders in the masses. Yes, people must have a faith in a leader. People must believe in their leader, and that is possible only if the leader has a vision. If a leader knows how to take everybody together, and if a leader doesn't know how to unite people, then gradually people will lose the faith in the leaders. So these are some of the most important conditions which we have covered out in last 5 parts altogether, and I hope you have really understood all these 20 points which I have covered in a different 5 parts. So feel free to comment in the comment box below, and I will see you soon in next tutorial. Till then, take care.